Hello everyone, it's Jamal Thomas. Welcome to the Progressive Soapbox. It's like insomnia theater. It's like, fucking, we're up, let's do the news. This one is not so much the news. So let me check my volume. This one just warmed my heart. My cold, cynical, crusted over, but beating and hopeful heart. Ah, yeah, they were good. I love the story because the story tripped me out. And it makes me even want to go further and do another video on something that's somewhat of an aspect of the story. So, this video is going to be very short. And I know my perspective of time is often kind of inflated by several magnitudes. But in this case, I'm going to keep it short. Ocasio-Cortez is on Twitter. I've invited her on my show. She ignored me. I'm bruised by that, which is why I'm bringing that up. But nevertheless, she's on Twitter. And being on Twitter, she responds to people sometimes. So she gets into a conversation with someone. And right here. Popular comedy account and pixelated boat. This is Moonbase Alpha, very nice area, home Ocasio grew up in before going off to Ivy League Moon University, a far cry from the Bronx hood upbringing she's selling. Let me read that again. This is Moonbase Alpha, very nice area, home Ocasio grew up in before going off to Ivy League Moon University, a far cry from the Bronx hood upbringing she's selling. Ocasio responds to this, even though she's never responded to anything that I've said. I'm not bitter at all. I'm not bitter. I'm not bitter at all. My identity has been exposed. I am actually Catherine Janeway of the USS Voyager. Now she's impersonating somebody's identity. Thought there were crimes for this. I thought this only happened to people from Nigeria. Yes, I'm being slightly racist. Now here's the thing, the interesting part to this, and the twist of the story. The real Catherine Janeway intervenes. You're stealing my identity, miss. You've never responded to the Progressive Soapbox. And you're going to steal my identity. Both of those things are horrific. Catherine Janeway intervenes. Captain Catherine Janeway of the USS Voyager reporting to Ocasio 2018. I'm very interested in assisting your campaign and taking it to warp speed. At red alert. At red alert. The real Catherine Janeway was listening to the conversation and intervened into this conversation. I am amazed by this. Catherine Janeway also has never said anything to me in a tweet, but that's okay. I'm not bitter about that either. I'm not bitter about any of it. I just love the fact that Catherine Janeway intervened. And yes, I know it's Kate Mulgrew. And yes, I know her character is not necessarily being played anymore. I know all that stuff. But she was the person who was playing it. And there's some aspect of her that's going to be infused into the character that may be lost if somebody else picks up the character. So to some degree, it is her expression of her in some way. I find this story to be awesome, which is why I'm relaying this story. I find this to be a good news story in regards to a lot of muck and mire that we have to take on in the news. Fucking A. Catherine Janeway. I love that. Catherine Janeway is a socialist. Fucking A. Fucking A. Now, I don't know if she's a socialist per se, but you know what I mean. She's full-throated support for Ocasio when there's a part of the population that is freaking out because she wants to make the country more like Denmark. They're trying to use the label of socialist, even though her platform is not socialist at all. Right here. Epitome of all women. Catherine Janeway. And I'm saying that jokingly, but not jokingly also at the same time. And I don't want to get into I don't want to step into this kind of Me Too discussion. But I do think she is. I think she's... Look, I don't like people who label themselves and fascinate themselves with labels. Because at some point, they're going to have to deal with a contradiction in that particular label, and they're going to fight like hell to remain within the bounds of that label, even though it looks kind of ridiculous. So, somebody calling themselves a feminist or some other is, that's nice. I don't know what it means, because all these people have these different kind of little things that they add to it. Can we just be human beings interacting with one another? Now, I say that to say, is Catherine or Janeway a feminist? Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck cares? How does she operate as a captain? That's what matters, not the label that you put on it. The label is a description of something, and it's not always an inelegant and incomplete description of whatever the thing is trying to describe. I make that case because I think far too often women get, and this is not their fault, but they're put into this position of strength being this quality of a man, and oftentimes strength being a correct thing even when it's wrong. Weakness is frowned upon, even when it's right, and even when it's not weakness at all. Just the very thing of not acting in a way that's aggressive and belligerent gets categorized as weakness, especially from the standpoint of a political system where one side is going to be adversarial and can castigate a side for not taking belligerent action. Jeremy Corbyn asking the question of, well, wait a minute, do we know Russia did this, gets booed and jeered in Parliament. Boo! Boo! How dare you not be belligerent in this moment when we don't have any evidence to support this position. But he was right. Didn't matter who was right. They booed him. His own party booed him for that. Strength is prized even when it is wrong. Now the catch to this is that there are times it seems that women have to shed a certain amount of their femininity in order to function in positions that are considered to be aggressive or where you need a certain amount of strength to be shown in those positions. Think for the moment like what a president would be, what a governor would be, what somebody in the military, if they were in a position, would be, and for the standpoint of Star Trek, what a captain would be. Janeway never really needed to do that, though. For the most part, she stayed within that line of, I am a woman, I'm going to stay a woman, I don't have to shed my femininity, nor do I have to shed the positive aspects of me being a woman in order to play this particular role. And she did that and rocked that shit. And I would make the argument that other captains would not have been able to get their crew through in a way that Janeway did. In times where she needed to be flexible, she was flexible. At times when she needed to be a hard ass, she was a hard ass. And in some cases, this attribute or this quality of women that's somewhat nurturing and compassionate was a plus, not a negative. Now you can say that's in a Star Trek universe. I don't think so. I don't think so. I understand the pressures that are applied. At least I understand it from an outside perspective. But if you're talking about a character that was unapologetically a woman and used those attributes magnificently to magnificent effect with regards to interacting and dealing with her crew, I think you can have both. And I think the society is somehow fucking itself over if it pushes people in a way and women in a way where they can. So that's my point behind Janeway. That's all. It's not mansplaining on how women should be, or at least I don't think it is. But it is kind of making this point of look, half of this world, if I'm not mistaken, more than half are women, and yet our society is this weird way have put them into like a group or a subcategory. So fucking bizarre. The stuff where that's organized and centric around men is a little weird, seeing as the other half, if not more so, are women. The attributes required to be in a particular position those things are just centralized around men only because of the way our society has kind of grew. That's not necessarily a thing that's right, and it's probably something that should be revised based upon seeing as the other half matter and are not, again, a subgroup. I like Janeway's model in this because Janeway was unapologetically a woman. Like that's the point I'm trying to make here. There weren't things that she had to shed off herself. These qualities of being female. She didn't need to get rid of those in order to do her position. She did her position, even within the context of that. And I gotta be honest. I think that's somewhat of a plus. There's certain things that women can get away with that men can't. And these show of emotions at times, they make more sense coming from her than it would coming from someone like Cisco. Like, I couldn't imagine Cisco. A perfect example, and this is, I think, is with bad. I think it was a bad choice on her part, but I'm trying to give this point of yes, I think there are downsides. To be honest, in this case, was be an example of a downside of something that she shouldn't have done. It was a bad choice, but she did it out of no other captain would have done it. And yes, we spiraled into the weeds on this particular show talking about Janeway. The doctor, the holographic doctor, he falls in love, and he falls in love with this woman who's working on like this technological stuff, and he's singing opera, and mind you, this is one of my favorite episodes. His singing was amazing. I loved the singing, and she falls in love with him because of the mathematical precision of his singing. And he's smitten. This program, this holographic program, is smitten by this woman. And he wants to leave the ship and live with her because he's so in love with her. It's like puppy love. Oh, it's so epic and beautiful. He's euphoric love. And he gets to the ship, to the base, to the bottom. He reads the captain, like talk shit to the captain and all this other stuff. I'm in love, Captain. You don't know what love is. God damn it, I'm in love. I'm a holographic program and I'm in love. Look at my beating heart. I love her. I'm singing it to the moon. I love her so much. And the captain lets him go. He lets him go. And he goes to the planet. And the woman has been down there building another him that can sing more and better than him. And that robot heart that he's beating, so leaving Captain and all this other stuff, he's broken. She takes his heart and just stomps on it, and she doesn't even know. She doesn't even realize it. He was so insignificant to her that she just built another one. That episode is fucking awesome. This is one of my favorite episodes because I thought to myself, if I'm stoned, I feel for the doctor. I get where he's coming from. Like this overwhelming feeling. I don't know how it is, how women experience this stuff. But when you're 16 years old, 17 years old, and there's someone you like, and you like that person to such a degree, you feel like the air in your lungs would never leave again if they looked at you a particular way. It's like, you'd pass out, you fall out on the floor. Love them to death. Or at the very least, you think that's what it is. You're infatuated. Infatuation to this mythic degree to which you've never believed that anybody else could ever hit the heights of that level of infatuation. If they could put it in the drug, no one would ever work again. Everyone would be discombobulated. Love them. You believe that love could not be anything other and greater than this, because no human being will be able to bear it and exist. That's where you are. And that person is having sex with someone else. That's what it's like. It's like, oh, it hurts. Oh, bastard. I remember there was this woman who, God, I was infatuated with. And I remember we were at a nightclub. I hate nightclubs. I don't like nightclubs. But we used to go every so often to play chess. Because of the sound, music, and everything else. That I did like. And it's her birthday, and she's on the dance floor, and they're like one guy after the next taking turns dancing, and you're like, oh bastard, this hurts. And then it gets to the point where it's like one particular guy, as if she's choosing her suitor, and you're like, oh god, she's wasted, she's hammered, and you're like, god, this is not a good scene on so many levels. A, she looks bad. B, that fucker who's dancing with her, I hope he gets hit by a bus. Like it's a bad way. It's a bad night. Now, I'm just making the point that the robot gets his heart destroyed. Now, it culminates in one last scene where the robot, the doctor, sings for this packed auditorium. Everybody's there, including the captain, because they're about to leave, but it's one last performance before the ship goes. And the doctor comes out heartbroken. like shattered. Like shattered into a billion pieces, which were picked up, put into a mill, and shattered again. Shattered to an atomic level. I'm trying to get you across this idea on how bad the doctor's heart was broken. And he sings, and he lets this out into the crowd, this little sadness that overcomes everyone based on the song. And it was an amazing performance. The doctor was shattered, he was hurt. And he put that hurt into this operatic song. Captain Janeway is sitting in the auditorium with this doctor who had just, mouthed off to her, this fucking robot, mouthed off to the captain. And she weeps. She cries. She wipes the tears away from her eyes. Now, this is an awesome scene. Because, A, it gets across a few things. Whereas I may look at the doctor as a robot, she looks at him as a crew member. A growing, improving crew member that may be different than us, but to some degree is similar enough to us where it constitutes, at least in question, this idea of what it means to be alive. No other captain would have allowed that robot to leave that ship. All other captains would have given lip service to this idea of the doctor being an evolving program and everything else. But I guarantee you, brass tacks, the doctor would have went into that room and mouthed off, and the captain would have said, from this point on, you are a toaster. And they would have gotten one of the members of the crew to reprogram the doctor to get rid of all of the singing, and they would have had him whistling Dixie and doing surgeries. I guarantee you, Cisco definitely would have did it. Picard would have did it, felt a little bit bad about it, but he still would have done it, because for the most part, you have a robot that you require for your ship. No human being would have decided to leave the planet in this way. But the doctor was trying to do that. That was the only doctor they had that could do surgeries and procedures. That doctor, from the henceforth, would have been considered a toaster, and they would have used him as such. Whether that decision was right or wrong, it kind of gets across this thing that I'm talking about. She didn't have to give up who she was in order to do her job, even though I think that was a bad choice. I don't think that choice was because she was a woman, no. I think it was because she was a Starfleet officer, and you've gotten to the point where you have this idea of dogma and everything else associated with it. But the emotional component to her and her character, did it help that she might have been more compassionate? Yes. It might have added to the choice, but it wasn't a definitive reason for the choice. She had the ability to be flexible, and that was one of those things that's positive. It was an amazing attribute of a captain. I guess the point I'm trying to make here, and maybe I'm making this point badly, she didn't have to give up who she was in totality in order to do her job, and that's something that people should strive for. So, I don't want to get into this weird space of trying to tell women who they're supposed to be, man. Fuck you, dude. I don't know. I don't want to get there. I don't want to get there. I don't want to do that. And with Jamal on almost most topics, no exceptions so far. Hey, you, thank you. But don't worry. I'll find something where you'll be like, fuck that guy. You'll find it. You'll find it. You'll find it. Women already lose 25% of their eggs by the time. Oh God, I guess I did go down this pathway, didn't I? I guess I did go down this path. All right, I'm going to end this here. Good on Catherine Janeway, Kate Mulgrew for intervening on this. Good job. I love it. Fucking love it. All right, and in fact, I love it so much, I'm even going to change this image before we leave out. Talk about some goddamn girl power. I think. Who is this? Oh, that's not girl power. That's not girl power. That's not girl power at all. All right, maybe not. I can't find it. All right, fuck it. I can't find it. We're going to have to leave with this. If you enjoyed the content, please feel free to share, like, subscribe, and of course, you can always support the Patreon. Let me make sure I didn't lose anyone. And no, I didn't lose anyone. And Kate Mulgrew, good looking out. Good looking out. Thanks, guys.